Hey Gez, Mr. Fly here, hope you're well and welcome to October's live stream. Incredible how quickly these come round, isn't it? This year is absolutely flashing by, it's nuts. Anyway, hope you're well. Usual stuff applies today on the live stream. Hopefully we'll get loads of new questions, but I've got loads of other questions to go through as well. As usual, I was saying last time I've got a list of about 10 pages worth of questions to go through, so we'll cover some of those off. And then at the end this time, I will do some parish notices. I didn't do them last time. I think when I did the last bike news, I forgot to do parish notices, and I got quite a lot of stick for it actually, which I was surprised about because I didn't realise people liked it so much. But I have got an awful lot to tell you about what's happening with the channel in the coming weeks, so I'll do that at the end. Tonight's live stream is probably a little bit shorter than usual. Often these go on for about an hour. I'm going to try and cap this one at half an hour today. Lots of stuff I've got to get done this evening. Anyway, so there we go. So hopefully you can see and hear me okay. Let me know if you can. I can see we've already got people coming in, about 132 watching at the moment, which is brilliant. Let's just give a few shout outs to people. So Brian Windmill's in, Ian from Essex, Moto Fantic, hello, Willem, Pistol Pete's in from Texas, excellent. Pete English, hello Pete, hope you're well mate. Stay in Vegas, hi from Copenhagen, brilliant. Who else got? Mr. Bottom Rung, James Donahue, Andy Smith, Kickback Garage, Bearded Bobber Biker. Blimey, Leonard Chevy's in New Zealand watching, that's fantastic, brilliant. So everybody's there, that's great, really good. Thanks for joining, and brilliant. So if you've got any questions for me, doesn't matter what it is, obviously I reserve the right to not answer them, but if there's anything about specifically this week, probably the launch of the new Triumph Street Triple RS that we saw, I'll put a video out about that earlier in the week. I don't know if you saw that, that's a big deal for me. Because of course I'm a Triumph fan. So anything about that, or if you want to talk about what it was like to ride Henry Cole's Norton, that was another video that seemed to do really well this week. I think something like 38,000 views so far, which for me is quite good going. So yeah, happy to talk about that or anything else. So who else have we got coming in? Colin Vincent, hello to you Colin, nice to see you again. Hello the Treegust. William Baker. Question, 1250 GS or ICE? Thanks for the question, brilliant question. Reason why is only today I'll be making a video on that very subject. I took the R1250 RS back to BMW UK yesterday, and while I was doing that I had a little ponder about what I thought about the bike and whether I would have one of those over a GS. I'm not going to give you the answer now because as I say, I made that video yesterday. I've edited it up, it's going to be published. I haven't got my schedule with me, I really ought to have the schedule at hand when I do these, but I've got a video specifically on the RS versus the GS because that's a question that comes up a lot, so stick around, stay tuned for that one. But good question. Hello Jamie, watcher to you. Good evening the Valley Rider, never quite sure which one that is. Good evening from Surrey, says Tech Wizman. Who else have we got? Motorbike Hamsters in. Rajesh, hello to you Rajesh. What are the mods that you intend to do on the Interceptor? I think that was, it flashed off the screen just as I saw it. Well again, got a number of videos coming up. I've got 3 videos already recorded in the can coming up in the next few weeks. I'll tell you about them in Parish Notices, but they're called, I've made a little series, something like Essential Royal Interceptor mods. So I won't, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I've got a number of mods that I've already done to the bike. Some of you have already spotted some of them actually, and I have of course recorded those in the garage, which is always a bit of a troublesome thing for me, being a bit of a technical numpty. So I've got some more garage vids coming with Royal Enfield Interceptor mods coming soon, and a few more planned as well. So that's going to be the bike that I sort of fiddle around with a bit, I think, through winter. I've got some plans for it generally. Not entirely sure whether I'm going to do everything myself or whether I'm going to try and save up, and I had even thought about trying to identify like a custom shop and maybe giving them a little brief and then maybe going and watching them do some of the work, make that into a little series. Perhaps, I don't know, all sorts of thoughts going through my mind as to what I could do with that. Or maybe try and do it myself, but getting time is the issue with that. That's the only problem. I'm knocking out quite a lot of videos at the moment, as you may have noticed. And through December, I'm planning to do a video a day, just as a little test to see if I can. Yeah, busy times ahead on the Missenden Flyer, so that might limit me doing that a bit. But anyway, lots of mods coming on the Royal Enfield, so don't worry about that. What else we got? Kayak Malta. Hey Andy, it would be nice to have you review some second-hand bikes, say 5 to 7 years old. Well, I don't know if you've seen some of my recent videos, Kayak. I have been doing exactly that. So, of course, there was a couple of bikes from Henry that I rode, Henry Cole, so the CCM and his Norton, their second-hand bikes. There was the VFR 800 from Richie Vida, rode that one as well, of course, another second-hand bike. And there's a couple more coming actually. I've been to see, you'll see coming on the channel soon, there are some more older bikes that I'm going to be riding and reviewing, which I've really enjoyed doing. The issue with doing second-hand bikes is twofold, really. Well, it's logistics. It's just down to logistics. It's getting hold of particular bikes. So there are all sorts of second-hand bikes I'd love to ride, but actually making it happen is quite difficult. So I'm very lucky in that I get a lot of people contact me and say, if you want to ride X, Y, Z, and if you're one of these people, thank you very much for writing to me, then you're more than welcome to ride my bike. That's great. Trouble is, they're miles away, and it doesn't have to be many miles away for it to start to become awkward. If you're more than, say, 40 miles away from where I am here in Buckinghamshire, then actually logistically it's quite hard to get either for me to come to you or you to bring the bike when you're not at work, whatever. So that's one of those things. Although sometimes we can make it happen, so do keep dropping me those notes. But apologies if I can't actually do it with your bike for one reason or other. It's probably just down to logistics and timing that is that issue. But yeah, so I do intend to do more second-hand bikes. It's just it's just, as I say, the logistics of doing so. I'm just going to have a quick fiddle about here with my screen because I can't really see the top chat very well. I'm going to attempt to move the window while I'm talking. Oh gosh, that's a bit complicated. All right, we'll leave it there. Right, who else we got coming up? Plymouth Jana, when's the next tour series? Good to hear from you, Plymouth. You're off the list, you know that now, don't you? The next tour series, well, again, a few people have asked this. I've got a few smaller tours coming, and one massive tour coming early in the new year. So they are coming. I know people have missed them this year. I've been a bit later doing the tours this year. I've got, in the next couple of weeks, I've got a shortish a sort of Spain tour coming up. I've got the massive one, which I'm not going to tell you about until I've sort of done it, because I don't want to kibosh it, but that's all happening soon and will be in the new year. And for those of you that follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, you'll know that I've been in Slovenia on a tour as well, which is a series of about probably going to be 5 or 6 half-hour videos, which are going to be shown again early in the new year. I think the first one's scheduled for January the 4th. That was an amazing tour. Never ridden in the sort of Adriatic countries before. I did mostly Slovenia, but also a bit of Croatia, bit of the Austrian border and Italy as well. Cracking weather, great fun. That one's coming up, so say starting I think the 4th of January if I remember right. Haven't quite finished editing that one. And also there's a little one-off video as well coming from when I did some riding in Bavaria a couple of weeks ago, which was part of a sort of a press junket. I don't normally do press things, but this one was just, it sounded nice going for a ride in Bavaria. I hadn't been there before on a new BMW. It was on the S1000 XR. I think it was. So that's coming up as well. So there are some more tour videos coming, and I've got in my mind great plans for next year. But again, I don't want to tell you too much about them in case they don't come off. But yeah, I have got some plans on that. So more tour numbers coming soon. Right, what else is coming up? Hi Andy, are you going to the bike show in November? Says John Stevens. Good question, and that was going to be one of my parish notices actually. The answer is yes. I'm going on the last day, which I think is the 24th of November. Let me just check my dates. Yeah, Sunday the 24th of November, the very last day of Motorcycle Live, I shall be there, and I'll tell you more about that in Parish Notices, exactly where I'm going to be and when. So if you are free or you're thinking of going and you're not sure what day to go on the last Sunday. It will have thinned out a bit by then. It'll be a bit emptier, a bit easier to look around. It'll be fantastic if you can and said hello to me, but I'll talk about that, as I say, at the end of Parish Notices. Any track days next year, says Matt Cox. None planned at the moment, but it's early days, isn't it? I mean, next season's track day season is a way off, so might do. Haven't done any this year. I was planning to do one this year that ended up getting cancelled just because I got a bit overrun with stuff that I was doing. So yeah, maybe do one next year. We'll see how that goes. Just excuse me a moment, I'll just have a slurp of my tea. Right, okay, what else we got coming in? Hi, Mr. Super Duke. Hello to you. How many miles on the GS, says per N? How many miles on the GS? I don't know. It's about, I think, about 21,000 miles. I would nip out and have a check, but I think there's about 21,000 on it now, and it's still going strong. Great bike, love it. That's my workhorse bike. What else we got? Martin Brown. It would be great if you could do a review on the new Zontis 810 bike. Great spec and quality from a Chinese bike. Yeah, may well do that, Martin. As you know, I'm not averse to riding Chinese bikes. I've got a few reviews on the channel already of different Chinese machines. So yeah, that one may well come. I'm not familiar with that particular model, I don't think. I have seen some Zontis. I'm not sure what style of bike that is, but yeah, stay tuned. That may well happen. Evening from Bahrain. Hello, Patrick. Thanks for joining. Bahrain. I always think of Concord when people mention Bahrain, do you? It always seemed to stop there, didn't it? But back in the good old days. But there we go. Thoughts on the Triumph Scrambler 1200, says Duke Boy. Well, again, actually, one of my next my next series of review videos is on the Triumph 1200 Scrambler. I borrowed the XC X-Ray Charlie from Triumph back in the summer. I've got, I think, at least 4 videos coming up on that. So, my first impressions review type stuff, lessons I've learnt, and then my in-depth review where I go through the cost of ownership and all the pros and cons that I've learnt about the bike. Really like those bikes, but they weren't perfect. I didn't actually... hopefully I'm not putting out a big spoiler here, but I didn't like them quite as much as I expected to. And I ended up after that buying my Speed Twin. It was before that I got the Speed Twin that I rode those, actually. Same engine, of course. So that surprised me, but that's how I felt. But anyway, so yeah, loads coming up on that. Let me just have a quick look at some of these questions from last time, because these were hanging over from people that asked them before and didn't get to answer them. So I'll just do a couple of these, and then I'll come back to the ones coming, and do keep them coming. Brilliant. We've got 532 people watching. This is amazing. So Mark Schreiber says, ever thought of riding the Blue Ridge Parkway? If I'm honest, not seriously. I've heard of it. Is that as in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia? Laurel and Hardy, all that. Or is that as in Blue Ridge Parkway, which I think is sort of Georgia way? Not sure. Let me know, Mark, which one that is. But a few people have mentioned that. And one of the things that I want to do next year is a US tour of some sort. I'm thinking either a bit of a tour in Florida, because I'd like to do the Space Center, maybe catch a rocket launch. I'm a massive fan of Elon Musk. I'm thinking going over to Florida, maybe meeting some of my US followers would be brilliant. Maybe coincide it with Daytona Bike Week, which would be another amazing thing. Perhaps do it on a Harley if I can get hold of one. Yeah. And, I don't know whether I'd just stay in Florida or whether I'd drive out into some of those southern states or what. It depends how long I can do it and when I can do it. But I should be getting my planning head on around about Christmas usually, and earmarking some time through 2020 that I'm going to do these various trips. So, yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. I'd love to do a US trip next year of some sort. I'd love to do coast to coast. I'd love to do the desert in the west. I've been to California this year, so maybe I won't be doing that. But yeah, the Florida one sounds quite good to me. And I know there are quite a lot of people that watch the channel in Florida. Plus, I subscribe to a few YouTubers in Florida. Quite a lot to go and see them. So, Shade Tree Surgeon, get your beers ready. Anyway, so yes, that's a little idea I'm sort of formulating and thinking about. Anyway, let's do one more from the live stream, then I'll come back to the list again. What have we got going on? Debenham Dave. Hi, Andy. How are you getting on with the Speed Twin? Very well. Thanks, Dave. And hello to Suffolk. I was there at the weekend. Well, yeah, I was there at the weekend. I came through from Norfolk. Anyway, the Speed Twin is going absolutely splendidly, thank you. I've not ridden it as much as I'd like to. Because the weather started getting a bit scuddy now, and I'm feeling a bit precious about it, and it's sort of deep in the garage, and the Intercept is a bit is more at hand. For some reason, if I just wander into the garage and think, I fancy riding a bike, it's the Interceptor that draws me to it at the moment. But I am loving the Speed Twin. Don't take that the wrong way. I absolutely cannot wait to ride it more. I haven't ridden any of my bikes that much in the last few weeks because I've been riding other people's again. This is the old unintended consequences of doing the YouTube thing. It's funny, before I did this, so seriously, and I was doing a normal job of work as well, I would go out absolutely every day, at least at lunchtime, and ride one of my bikes. Now I'm struggling to fit that in. I do try and ride them all. I like to keep the fluids, running around them, and I try and ride them each of them at least once every couple of weeks, but it's getting more and more difficult to do as time is getting tight. But anyway, now with the light drawing in as well, getting more tricky. So yeah, a bit of a shame coming to the end of the riding season. Right, one more from the list. Mike, do you use Basecamp to plan trips? Is there anything better? So this is Basecamp, in case you didn't know, is a bit of software, I think it's written by Garmin, that allows you to pre-plan routes on your PC and then sort of port them over to your sat-nav. So if you're on a ride, you can follow the routes you'd already done. And the simple answer to that, Mike, is no, I don't use Basecamp. It is a bit clunky, as per your implication here. Not that easy to use, and I don't know if there is anything better now. There may well be, but personally, when I do these tours, I don't tend to plan them on the sat nav unless somebody does it for me. Frankly, I can't be bothered to spend the time looking at maps and redoing that onto the sat nav. I quite like using old-fashioned maps. If I'm on a tour, I basically plot out on a map where I'm going to go, and then as far as the sat nav's concerned, I'm not a heathen. I do use sat navs, of course. I tend to just put in the main towns, and I just route to those and maybe go off piste on the way. So yeah, I like to keep my tours and trips very flexible and go where the mood takes me at the time. So I don't tend to plan them on Basecamp because it's, as I say, difficult to use, a bit complicated to use, or used to be when I did try it. And it sort of takes a bit of the fun and the discovery out of trips. I think it's just my personal opinion. You may disagree. You might like to do the research, make sure you're getting the optimal route and get it in your sat nav first. I can't be bothered, frankly. So there we go. So that was that one. Let me just cross it out so I don't answer that again. All right, what else we got coming on the live stream? Paul Davey, thoughts on the new upcoming 790 Duke? Is there a new upcoming 790 Duke, Paul? I mean, the answer to that is yes, because there's always an upcoming new of every bike, isn't there? I'm not sure I've seen the new 790, the new one. Is there a new one for 2020? Don't know. So I haven't got any thoughts on that. I need to have a look at it. Which four-cylinder bike would make it into the garage? Says Mara Dewey. Blimey, there's a question. I do every time I ride a four-cylinder bike. I think, why haven't I got one of these? Because they sound so darn good, don't they? I don't know. Is the answer. I've got coming soon, I think next week, without checking my diary, the Suzuki Katana for long-term loan for a few weeks, so I can make a few videos on that. A bike that I'm not too sure whether I like or not. I have ridden it, and it rode beautifully. I'm just not sure I like the looks, but in the flesh it was quite nice actually. So I did have a word with Suzuki to see if I could borrow one, which they are very kindly letting me have. So that's a four-cylinder bike for me to try. I don't know whether it would be that well, it probably wouldn't be the Katana that made it in the garage, because I'm not sure I could live with the looks, but the bike that's based on, I can't remember exactly which one that is off the top of my head, that might be a contender. I think if I was going for a four-cylinder bike, it'd probably be one of the four-cylinder nakeds that you can get these days. I just love naked bikes, and the howling screaming from a four-cylinder version would be brilliant. But I don't have any specific one in mind. I'll have to think about that. Simon Thomas, when will you take a Ural across Russia? No plans to do that one. I did go to Russia on holiday some years back. Had a fantastic time there. That was before relations got a bit more, should we say, tetchy between the West and Russia. And even then, it was quite awkward as a tourist to get around Russia. You have to be invited there. And when I went, I actually had the services of a local Russian guide who drove me everywhere, which was amazing. Sounds fancy, that, doesn't it? And it was. And I had a great time. But Russia, I found, wasn't that easy to be a tourist in. I know other people disagree. I've been watching a pal of mine who's recently gone across Russia on his bike and said it was one of the friendliest places he's ever been. Maybe when you're outside of the big towns. I was staying in St. Petersburg. Maybe when you're out the towns, it's a different kettle of fish. But it sort of put me off a bit. I'm so glad I went and had a great holiday there. But I'm not sure I'd particularly want to ride across it on a bike. There are other places I'd probably rather go. But there we go. So hopefully that's not a disappointing answer. Fly, get an electric bike, says Neil Widdiston. What? For keeps, you mean? Fair enough, I've just given one back yesterday, and I've had an electric scooter for the last month, something called a Niu, N-I-U, which I've been doing some reviews on. That's coming soon. And also in the can, because a few weeks back I had the new Zero, the SR/F, which is their sort of sporty naked electric bike. Really enjoyed that. Felt much lighter than the DSR, which I rode and famously fell off previously. Really great bike. So there's loads coming on the SRF. So if you're an electric bike fan, stay tuned, there's much more coming. Whether I'd have one at this point, not sure. One of the things that surprised me about the SRF when I rode it, obviously they're quiet because there's no engine noise, but when you're doing things like doing a U-turn in the road or something, or you're just going along slowly, you can hear every noise coming from the mechanics of the bike, which of course you get on a normal internal combustion engine bike, but you don't tend to notice them because they're swamped out by the noise of the engine. So I'm talking about a bit of road noise, the noise the brakes make when you apply them, the noise that, just the suspension creaking and stuff like that. And it was a bit uninspiring. So it sort of put me off a bit. I know it's a ridiculous reason to not have an electric bike, but that was one thing that surprised me. And also, I just don't think electric bikes are quite there yet. They're getting very, very close. There's no doubt. The SRF did show me they're getting very close to being practical. And that scooter I had definitely was a practical proposition if you're in town. Brilliant way. I can't think of a better way of getting around a town, actually, in an urban environment. But if you're a rider like me who lives basically in a semi-rural location and does his riding for fun rather than for necessity, Sunday rides, that sort of thing, then electric bikes don't really cut it still. We did that video, Bike v Plane. I don't know if you saw that. Really enjoyed making that video. And one of the bikes on that Andy Mancam was riding was the Zero. And I remember that day when we did that, we had a lot of range anxiety on that bike. And in fact, when we finished doing the filming and we had a few beers at the Flying Club, I remember we wheeled it into a hangar and plugged it in then just so he'd get onto his next spot. So yeah, there are some practical issues still with electric bikes. Not to say I wouldn't have one in the future, but they've got a little way to go yet, and cost as well at the moment is really high. Okay, hot dog or burger, says TC90. Oh, that's a question, isn't it? I love them both. Depends on the mood. Depends what I'm doing and where I am. I couldn't split the two. Couldn't live without either. Okay, what else have we got? Few beers and a doner, says Matt. Yeah, that works too. Although that's the old me. These days, I love those things, but I try and avoid. Roger Bull, Andy, have you thought of going to Avoraz? Do you mean Avoraz? Where the Harleys meet? There in the summer. I saw it in 2015, and there were about 3,000 of them. Ah, hello, Rog. By the way, great to hear from you. I used to work with Rog years ago. Great. I assume that's the same Roger Ball. Must be, surely. How many Roger Balls can there be? No, I haven't thought of that. But that's mainly because I haven't really done any Harley stuff yet, Rog, and I need to sort that out. I'm desperate to ride a Harley. I've now ridden my first Indian, which is great. So I want to ride a few more of those, some of the more bigger cruiser types. I rode the FTR 1200, the flat tracker, which is very much a modern bike, but I want to ride some of those more traditional bikes, particularly if I then want to go and do that Florida trip, that Daytona thing. So that would be great to do on a Harley or an Indian, wouldn't it? That would be fantastic. But yeah, if I can, I need to up my knowledge on those bikes. I do have a bit of a black hole in terms of, I couldn't really name more than 3 models of Harley Davidson probably, which is outrageous. So I don't really know the history. I need to bone up on them. I've got nothing against them at all. I love them from an engineering point of view. When you see them, they look spectacular. So yeah, I definitely got to get that sorted out. So I assume that was Avoriaz. I've been there, or Avoria, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a skiing resort near Morzine in France, isn't it? Or maybe it's a slightly different one. Excuse me, just another slurp coming. Right, how are we doing for time? I'm conscious that I've got to do parish notices and I want to be off of here, if I can, a little bit earlier. I don't want to shortchange you, but lots to do. I've got to be up at 3 a.m. tomorrow. I won't tell you why, but all will become clear. Right, what have we got coming up here? Python or C++, says TC90. I'm a C++ man. Palantir, are you going to test or review older second-hand bikes? We've already covered that one off earlier in the live stream. Go and watch the recording again. Sorry, I don't want to repeat myself if I can help it. Adam, hi Andy. ACF 50 is best to remove the fairings on a CBR 600 before applying for winter hibernation. Is it best? Yes, Adam. If you can, then yeah, I would. If you can, get rid of the fairings and then spray under them, of course, that's going to be a better idea. You don't have to, because the fairings, of course, keep a fair bit of crud and salt off the bike. But yeah, if you've got the time, get the fairings off. ACF 50 everywhere. It's sort of getting to that time of year. I tend not to do my ACFing until about November. Here in Blighty, it doesn't really start to get properly frosty, and they don't start to put salts on the road. Usually, in my mind at least, I think until sort of after fireworks night, so 5th of November, that's the time I start to think about ACF 50ing. Got a big job on my hands this year because I've now got 6 bikes of my own that all need ACF 50ing. But I do have a compressor, so I'm going to get them all done. By the way, if you do have more than one bike and you are an ACF 50 fan, it's well worth getting yourself a compressor. The one I bought was from eBay or something. It cost me about 100 quid. Came with all the attachments you need, and it so does a good job. Once you know what you're doing, it took me a while to learn. Videos on the channel on that. It does such a good job of putting a really light mist of ACF 50. It's not all gunked up. It gets wafts into the bike where it needs to go, and you use so much less of it as well. Whereas it's quite expensive stuff. If you use the old squirty thing, it's quite hard to get it to not go all gloopy and too thick on the bike. And ACF 50 tends to work better the thinner it is. You just need a molecular level coating of it. So yeah, get yourself a compressor. It'll pay for itself in a couple of years, I think, and you do a really professional job getting it done that way. Right, let's just do a couple more questions from the list, and then I'll come back to the live ones again, and then we'll get on to parish notices, and we'll call it a night for tonight. Dan Rockle, would you consider doing the Brighton burn up, or have you ever done it? Great question. The answer is yes, I would consider, and have I ever done it? No, I haven't. Again, it's all down to my organisational lack of. It turns out I love going to thank you very much, Sean, that's very kind of you. I love going to these bike meets, and the Brighton one I'm very aware of because it looks massive. So yeah, I would like to do that one year. I just need to get it in the diary and get on down there. So yeah, haven't done it yet, but next year I'm going to try and major a bit more on bike meets, particularly maybe some of the smaller ones, the local ones that people have been telling me about. If you know of any other bike meets, by the way, do drop in the comments on the recorded version your local bike meets or good bike meets that you know of. I am making a little list so that come next season I can go and visit these various bike meets. I thoroughly enjoyed the one I did up at Crazy Horse in Bury St Edmunds. The one I did locally here down at the pub, which I can't remember the name of, but it'll come to me in a minute, or Steve will tell me. But that was great as well, and I know there are loads of others around. So I think they make for good videos. They don't get that many views, to be fair, so perhaps they don't. But I enjoy making them. It's great meeting and talking to people about their bikes and just nosing about machinery, isn't it? So yeah, let me know if you know of any good bike meets. One more from the list. Colin Vincent. I think you're on, Colin. I think we saw you earlier, didn't we? Are you still liking the Metzler 01s on the GS? I'm not getting very good mileage, but like them otherwise. Simple answer, Colin. Yes, I do. And oddly, I am getting very good mileage on mine. I don't know why. In fact, I did a little review of them, and I think I said that I had the best mileage of out of any tyre I've ever had. Oh, thank you very much. Who was that? Knob67. Very kind of you. Thank you. That'll go in the tank. So yeah, I am still enjoying the 01s. Haven't ridden them anywhere near as much as I did last year because I did I think I did the Arctic Circle tour on them, and I got way more miles out of them. Something like 9,000 miles out of a set or out of the rear, more out of the front, of course. So yeah, liking those, Colin. Okay, one more from the list. Roland Barzager says, 2 retro bikes. What happened to the plan to buy a Triumph Rocket? Well, the plan's still there, mate. I love the look of the Triumph Rocket. I've spoken to Triumph's PR people about whether I could get a ride on one. And unfortunately, the answer is basically no. I have to wait until they're available in dealers, which is a bit of a shame because, as you know, I'm a massive Triumph fan. I don't want to get into a big whinge because in some ways Triumph helped me. But actually getting hold or riding new bikes with Triumph is difficult. They can give me long-term ones when they're on the press fleet, but that doesn't come for months down the line. So, for example, there was the recent Rocket launch. Didn't get invited to that. Okay, fair enough. There was the Street Triple launch this week. Didn't get invited to that. Goodness knows why. That does irk me slightly. To be fair, I probably wouldn't go to them because I'm not a big fan of these launches. But the fact that they don't ask me hurts a little bit, if I'm completely honest with you, particularly as I'm obviously a Triumph fan, and I own these machines. Anyway, I will continue to be a Triumph fan despite that. I just put that down to, I don't know what I put that down to. Whinge over. Move on. Right, onto the live stream. What have we got here? Pool on a Tuesday night, says Michael. Yeah, I have been there, actually. I went to, fun enough, when I first got my Street Triple back in 2012, that was the first ride I did to run it in. I went down to the pool bike night, and that was great. I must go again. It was good fun on the quay there. That was before... Sharp Ben says, hi, TMF, bye. You off? Cheerio, Sharp Bens. So, yeah, I must do the pool one again. Those were in the days when I was a bit more incognito. Pool Bike Night is worth a visit. Agreed. Hi, Andy. What are your thoughts on the Triumph Daytona 675R? Thank you, David. Very kind. Well, I love it. It's a great bike. Again, it's not one I've ridden. I assume it's very similar to ride to the Street Triple like I have with the 675 in. But again, it's one of those second-hand bikes I'd like a crack at. You never know. Okay, David Mitchell. Bridge Motorcycles in Exeter has a decent bike meet over the summer months on a Thursday night once a month. Summer special guest too. Thanks, David. Bridge Motorcycles in Exeter. That's a fair old way for me to go, to be fair. Not saying I wouldn't do it. I'd have to stay over for that one, though. But yeah, I'll add that to the list. Hairy Bikers on catch-up. Bye, mate, says the chewing Tora. Cheerio. Matt Young, if you had to choose one, what would be your favourite scooter? Well, to be honest, my favourite scooter was the Yamaha, what is the 400cc? I can't remember, the X-Max, the 400 version. I love that bike. It was really good. I thought it might have even been the first scooter I ever rode. I like scooters generally, but I prefer the maxi scooters to the small ones. I find the small ones, traditional scooters, Lambrettas, that sort of thing, with the small wheels, a little bit freaky when you're in amongst traffic. Might just be me. So in the main, I prefer the bigger ones. But yeah, the X-Max is my favourite. All right, what I'm going to do now is just get on to Parish Notices, because I did say I'd definitely do them. And I forgot them last time when I did Bike News, and I got a bit of flack. So just a few things that I definitely want to say. First off, I mentioned Motorcycle Live, and I'm going on the last Sunday of that event. That's Sunday the 24th. I'm going to be at my sponsors of this very video stand. So that's Custom Fit Guards. You've heard me mention them before. Check out the details below. There's a website link and discount code, I believe, for Custom Fit Guards below the description of this video once it's posted, and indeed all my videos. But anyway, I should be on their stand on Sunday, November the 24th from 12 o'clock all afternoon. If you're there then, it would be fantastic if you want to come and say hello, have a selfie, whatever, a bit of a chat. It would be brilliant. And I'd love to see you there. So if you are planning on going to the NEC, see you on November the 24th in the afternoon, Custom Fit Guard stand. That's the first thing. Must say massive thanks again to my Patreons and my members who have joined in the last month. That's absolutely fantastic. It's because of you guys that I'm able to keep doing this stuff and hopefully be able to fund some of these trips that I'm talking about next year. So thank you very much again to those of you that have joined the Patreon website. People have asked me, what would I rather you do? Join the YouTube page or sign up with Patreon? I don't mind as long as you do one or the other. I'm quite happy. Patreon is slightly cheaper. You can do that for like $1 a month or something. And also I find Patreon is a bit more functionally rich. That may not stay the case forever. So I have a slight preference for Patreon, but it really doesn't matter. Whatever is easiest for you, I'll be very grateful. Thank you very much. The other thing I wanted to mention was discounts that I've got available. Again, in the description of all my videos, there's all sorts of information in there. I know that often people don't bother to look in descriptions because often people ask me questions that are answered in there. But once in a while, might be worth just having a little look in there, because there are some discounts in there. The latest one that I added was for VisorCat. The people that they don't sponsor the videos anymore, but they used to, and I use their little wipey thing on the glove. There's a discount code for them, and it benefits me if you use that discount code. I think I get like a £5 or something for each one they sell using that discount code. So do that. That'd be great. Next live stream. Oh, do make a note in your diary. I always have trouble with notifications. YouTube, for some reason, isn't great at sending out subscribers notifications of new videos and things like that. And I do try and make a point of letting you know when the next live streams are. I always put the date of the next live stream and the little ticker tape thing that you see below. That's always there, so don't forget you can come back and check that. But also, I a day or so before, this time 2 days before, I put out a community post on my YouTube page saying that, well, I was doing this tonight. Don't know if you got that or not. Be interested to hear if you did. I have a feeling not many people get it. You'd assume it goes to all your subscribers, but it doesn't. In fact, I think YouTube told me it goes to something like 15% of your subscribers. I don't know how they choose which ones it's going to, but that seems a pitifully small amount. So I also note on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well when I'm doing. So I try quite hard to let you know when the next live stream is. That was a big preamble too. But the next one, a bit of a delay to the next one. Friday, November the 29th is going to be the next one. At 8 o'clock, usual time. Possibly with a live studio guest as well. TBC, it might be more than one, don't know. But I'm hoping that'll be the case. So Friday, November the 29th, in case you don't get those notifications, make a note in your calendar on your phone, whatever now. November the 29th is when the next one's going to be. It's hopefully going to be a bumper one. That should be great fun, and also there'll be a lot to talk about because there'll be a big gap between now and then. Maybe I'll reach that elusive 1,000 people live at the same time. See, I'm at 736 watching at the moment, which is incredible, but not the 1,000 that one day I hope to get. Also, the other thing to mention, gosh, there's quite a bit. I told you there's a lot of parish notices. Hopefully, we'll have my brand new website up and running by then. Keep your eye on themissendenflyer.com. There's like a holding page there at the moment. I'm developing, somebody else, a developer, is developing a new website for me, and in cahoots with that, part of that will be a brand new range of top quality TMF merchandise. Unfortunately, I've been a bit disappointed with the Teespring stuff. Nothing wrong with it. In fact, this is a Teespring t-shirt I've got on now, and you'll still be able to order those via the YouTube link. There's like a little shelf that appears on the channel, and you can click on the Teespring thing on my page, and you can buy those. But unfortunately, I've had a few reports from subscribers in the US that they're not able to get them, which is bizarre because Teespring's a US company. When I first set it up, I definitely made sales to the US, and nothing's changed. I've tried to sort this out. Teespring are completely unresponsive to my support requests. I can't work out why they're not getting shipped to the US, so I apologise to any US viewer that's been trying to get my merchandise and you failed on Teespring. So as part of that, as I say, I'm going to this brand new supplier. Not only am I getting a web site, but I'm getting a proper new web shop. There'll be new sorts of merchandise, much better quality, cheaper prices too, and the service and the shipping will be much better. Let me just have another slurp. So, of course, I will let you know when that is live, but I'm anticipating it's going to be live by the time we next chat. I hope so anyway. And as I say, I'll let you know. So I'm going to launch with all the usual stuff, so T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, maybe some stickers. Be interested if there's anything in particular you'd like me to make in terms of merchandise. I think pretty much anything is available. Well, within reason. I can look at doing that as well. So that's something coming soon, which I'm pretty excited about. Okay, coming up soon on the Missenden Flyer. Then I'll do a couple more questions in a moment. By the way, next video. Might be. In fact, it is. The next video is a review of the Royal Enfield Classic 500. I last rode one of these about 3 years ago, and that video's had like over 500,000 hits, so it's a very popular bike with the YouTube viewers. The bike's been updated significantly in the last 3 years. It's now Euro 4 compliant. It's got ABS and some other changes, so that one's coming up soon. So if you're a Royal Enfield fan, look out for that one. Monday and Thursday next week, I've got a brilliant two-parter. I've been to see Alan Millyard. He's an absolute wizard. He's a brilliant engineer. You may have seen him. There's a big feature in MCN, I think last week or the week before, about Alan. You might have seen him on Henry Cole's programmes, which is how I got introduced to him. Really lovely guy. I've been down to his house. I've been to his workshop. I've looked at his bikes. I've even ridden some of his bikes. So I've got a two-parter coming up, as I say, next Monday and Thursday. Don't miss those. I don't not wish to blow my own trumpet, but I think they're cracking videos. So and I hope Alan's pleased with the way they've turned out. I am. So they're coming up too. They're not to be missed. I'll get a crack on that Zero SRF electric bike I mentioned earlier. Do some garage work actually on the Speed Twin. One of the problems that I've had with it is it's got slow speeds, it's got a little bit of a snatchy throttle, and it turns out the throttle on the Speed Twin is exactly the same as on my Ducati Panigale, and long-term viewers will know that I fitted what they call a Panigale throttle spacer on my Panigale. It completely cured it. It's just a little bit of plastic that you buy, and again, there's a discount code actually for those below the video. It turns out if you've got a ride-by-wire Triumph, it's the same throttle, you can fit them to them as well. So I fitted one to my Triumph Speed Twin. night and day. It's absolutely fixed it. It's such a better solution than all the electronic fixes for this. It's about, it's like 20 quid or something. Anyway, video on that coming up with full details, so look out for that. First, I mentioned I've got that series of videos on the Scrambler 1200, the XC. The first of those videos are coming up. The next bike news when I go through MCN is the 28th and 29th of October, and I will give you some parish notices this time as well, including what's coming up in November. November's a very busy month on the channel, so I'll give you a heads up on that. And of course there'll be some good old-fashioned vloggage and much more, so do stay tuned. All right, quick look at a couple more, and then I must wrap it up tonight because, as I say, I've got a very early start indeed tomorrow. Okay, what have we got here? Triumph 1200 or BMW GS 1250, both 2019 models. Do you mean the 1200 Scrambler, or do you mean the 1200 Trophy or the Tiger 1200? Doesn't matter which you mean. The GS wins on all of those, I think. Personal opinion, I just think the GS 1250, the balance of it is nicer. The engine's beautiful. It just feels an easier bike to ride, so that's what I go for out of all those three. Pistol Pete, I fitted a booster plug on my T120 and worked well. Yeah, I've got the booster plug fitted on my Street Speed Twin, as well, but it didn't fix it entirely, and they're not cheap. So that's what I mean by the electronic fixes. Those booster plugs, all very well, but the spacer just takes away all the physical slack, and it makes the bike feel so much smoother. Really recommend those, but video coming up, so look out for that. Do you want help with base camp? Says John. Thanks, John. Not really. So, as I mentioned, I'm not really... Thank you, Stephen. I'm not really a big fan of doing lots of the sat-nav when I'm tour. I use it to get me to places, obviously, but I'm not big into planning routes to the nth degree before I go. I like a bit of flexibility built in. So thanks for the offer, but nah. Martin Dunn, thoughts on the quad lock phone mount? Yeah, you've probably seen that on my bike. I bought a couple of these. Somebody mentioned it to me. In fact, it was Pete English when I saw him in Spain a couple of months back. He said, had I seen them? And I made a note of them at the time. So thank you, Pete, for the recommendation. I bought a few and the various bits that go with them, and I'm loving it. I haven't made a video on it or anything like that, and they don't sponsor me. They don't send them to me for free or anything like that. But the quad lock, really good. Big fan of that. Richie Vida is watching Biarritz. Hello, Richie. Great to see you, mate. And good to see that you're making your way up the country. Richie, I don't know if you watch Richie, but he's on tour at the moment. He did his Picos tour with 17 riders, in fact. And they're about to come back and found out their ferry had been cancelled. So they're now raking their way back all the way through France. So he's got a proper adventure on his hands now. And with 17 riders, I think that's the biggest tour that Richie's done yet. That's going to be quite something. So have a good night, Richie and crew. Thanks for watching. And yeah, I hope your backsides aren't too sore, and I hope your next ferry doesn't get cancelled. Get the tunnel back, maybe. Anyway, hope to see you soon, mate. Thanks for watching. Okay, Gary Hicks, manual tensioner for Ratley cam chain. Why not? My vintage CB750, world's first superbike. Yeah, could be Tom Woo. The cool dudes. When is the 500 classic video? That is the next video coming, so that'll be on Saturday morning at 6:45 a.m. if you're getting up early. All right, I think that's about it then for now. Thank you very much for watching. Still got 761 I can see, which is absolutely amazing. I do appreciate you giving me your time to watch these things live. If you are watching on the recorded version, do leave me a note below, as I say, about... which bike meets you'd like me to go to next year, or if you know of any good bike meets, because I'm building that list up. I think that's going to be, a great thing to do next year. And don't forget, November the 24th, NEC Motorcycle Live. I shall be on the custom fit stands, custom fit guard stand from 12 o'clock onwards. It would be fantastic to see you there. All right, that's it for this time. I hope that was of some interest, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Till then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.